Welcome back to the Generation Z podcast. We hope that everybody is doing well. So today we are going to be discussing toxic relationships. So a couple of weeks ago, I think we put up polls on our Instagram stories, and we basically were asking a lot of people, or our followers, in fact, that what they kind of wanted to see from us in the future. And toxic relationships was kind of out of the two options that people could choose. There was a huge majority who wanted to hear about toxic
Yeah.
relationships. So we felt it's only right that we pay due
Give the
and
people
we
what they want.
give the people what they want. And we kind of just, we're going to be talking about toxic relationships in terms of, we're going to mainly be discussing friendships, like where, in terms of whether your friends are genuinely your friends or whether they're your foes.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about the negative impacts that these toxic relationships are going to be having on your personal life if you keep them unchecked. We're also going to be sharing ways that you can identify these symptoms of toxic relationships and the importance of escaping this sort of environment. And lastly, the majority of this podcast will be discussing friendships, but specifically, we do want to touch on an outsider's perspective of toxic relationships. So that it's like male and female relationships, even though we don't have any personal experience of being in a toxic relationship or a relationship in general. But I think that we do understand, or we can identify from an outside when there is a toxic relationship.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty obvious, but also just from people that you know who have been in a relationship, and you kind of hang around them and think you just leave it, mate. Just go.
Exactly.
But
100%.
Yeah, before we get into that, if you enjoyed today's podcast, then subscribe on iTunes and follow our Spotify. Leave a rating if you do enjoy it as well. We want to hear your feedback. We're on Instagram _ the Generation Z. We also have a Facebook page and a Twitter page. If you prefer to watch the podcast, we're on YouTube. And if you've got any questions, just drop us a DM. Instagram links in the description.
Yes. So we're going to start with a quote. And the quote is, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
So that kind of is a good starting point, because I think if your mates, I think what we're trying to say with this first quote is that attitudes are very contagious. I think if your friends, you're heavily influenced by the people in your social circle. So for example, if your friend is very kind of driven or positive minded and kind of attacking his goals and that sort of stuff, then you're more likely to be influenced by that. However, if your mates are constantly miserable, they have no goals, and they are constantly playing the victim card when they don't have anything kind of that they're achieving in their life, then you're kind of going to reciprocate that same energy, and you're also going to be falling to that sort of same attitude where you're also playing the victim card.
Yeah. It's another quote. I think it's just pretty simple. You're a product of your environment type of thing. You've got to realize that you are just a sponge, basically. Whatever's going on around you is going to affect you. Yeah, you can say that how you perceive those things is down to you, but a lot of the time, if you're surrounded by people who are just negative, constantly complain, you're not exactly going to be the happiest person, are you, when you're just surrounded by shit? So when it comes down to it, you've really got to think who you're spending your time with, who you're prioritizing your time with, because at the end of the day, the people you spend your time with are really going to affect you. So as you were saying, spend time with successful people, or not necessarily successful, but people who are driven. You're probably going to realize, oh, I want to do something as well, rather than just sitting on my ass with a
Yeah,
load of goalless
exactly.
mates, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, that's so true. If you're around positive people who kind of are constantly encouraging each other to go after the things that they want to achieve in life, I think there's no worse feeling than telling your best mate or someone that you value closely about your dreams, your goals, your passions, and
Mm,
for them to turn around and say, "Oh, you can't do that. Like, you
yeah,
won't be able to do that." Or
yeah,
they're supposed to be fighting in your corner, and if they're not doing that, and they're talking about other people, and they're saying that other people can't do this and that, and they're being hateful and resentful towards other people, oftentimes you're gonna, because you're so influenced by your social circle, you're gonna find yourself joining in, and that's actually gonna lower your kind of own frequency as well.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's important. We're saying that your mates need to back you, but at the same time, you don't just want yes men. So if you say, I want to do this, that you don't need people just be like, yeah, 100% go for it. Sometimes it might be unrealistic, yeah. And they might say, instead of just being like, no, you're an idiot, why would you do that? Might say, oh, that might not
They'd
be
offer
possible yet.
feedback, wouldn't
Yeah.
they?
Why
They'd
don't you
offer
consider doing
feedback.
this in order to do to that? Not just, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point of that? That's not going to get you anywhere, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You need someone who's going to kind of be rational as well
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of your social circle. If you have all these high hopes and these high dreams, like, obviously that's very good for you to do, and I encourage that. However, if it's completely unrealistic, you need someone who's going to kind of bring you down and kind of bring you back down to earth and be like, yeah, you might be able to do that, but in the short term, you're going to have to kind of do this, that. And I think it's so good having a kind of a friend who also kind of has the confidence in themselves and respects you enough to give you that kind of encouragement, and
Yeah.
also give you that feedback, the feedback that you often don't really want to hear, but it's
Mm.
necessary.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, if your friend's being a dick, don't just be like, "Oh yeah, go on, mate, do it." Just tell them they're being a dick.
Yeah,
At the end of the day,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
benefiting them in the long
Brutal
term.
honesty.
Yeah,
Brutal honesty.
but there's
Yeah.
definitely a difference between brutal honesty and people just actually just being a bit of an arsehole to you and being like, "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that." People like
Hmm.
that, you can't be afraid to just let go of them. And I want to make
Yeah.
this clear, letting go of people doesn't mean you have to hate them. There's plenty of people that I personally, last couple of years, I've moved away from. I just limit my time with them. I don't hate
100%.
them. There's nothing there to hate them for. It's just we're on different paths. We like different stuff. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend all my time with you anymore just because it doesn't benefit me. Like, I
Mm.
there's no point in having this kind of close relationship if it's not going anywhere. So just you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Don't know, might see you down the pub for a couple of beers sometime. And
Exactly.
there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
100%. I think you also, like, in this kind of toxic relationships that you may have, that you may not realize that you have, you kind of, a good indication of whether you are in a toxic friendship is whether you consider that your friend is actually valuing your worth as well as your
Mm,
time.
yeah,
When you're in constant conversation with them, or when you are communicating them, you need to ask yourself, are they constantly talking?
yeah, go.
Yeah, and another thing is, it's important for you to kind of assess whether your friends value your worth and your time?
Yeah.
Are they constantly talking about themselves when you're having a conversation with them? Are they constantly talking about their problems, what they're doing in the future, their goals, their aspirations? And are they only calling on you in their needs,
Yeah.
so when it suits them, essentially?
Yeah. Because stuff like that is just like, what can I get out of this person? If this person doesn't benefit me, then I don't want to be involved with them. Now, no relationship's going to be a one-way thing. It's like
No,
a give and receive type thing. Otherwise, it's just a one-sided thing. Like, why would the other
exactly.
person want to be involved in that?
No,
So yeah, if you've got
it
somebody that's just interested in themselves, then don't be afraid to just tell them, like, mate, shut up, I don't care about that. Like,
yeah, it's like
what
I've got my
motivates
own
you?
problems,
Yeah,
or yeah, I think also it's about when you're trying to meet up with them, or you're trying to communicate, and you're trying to like link up for something or do something with each other. Are you constantly making the effort to meet up,
that's
or
huge, I
is it
think.
is it a two-way thing? Is it them texting you one morning being like, right mate, I'm free this weekend, do you want to do something? Or are you constantly texting them saying, when you free, when you free, when you free, I want to see you? That's just draining your energy, your time, that you can use to invest back into yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. If you set plans with someone and then the day before they might just text you, "Oh yeah, I'm busy now," or
And they just
you've
flake
got
it. Yeah.
to or you've got to text them like 3, 4 times to make sure they're coming.
Mm,
No, don't bother. So I do a thing. I'll message a person once. I'll say, "I'm doing this on this day. Do you want to come?" It's either a yes or no. Okay, all right. Sometimes they might not know if they're free. Then I'll just go,
yeah.
when you're free, let me know. And it's down to them. If they want to come, they'll find out if they're
Balls
free and
in their
message me
court.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
Hmm.
chase it. If people aren't actively trying to get to you, then sack them off. Who cares?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, like there's a lot of other people in this world that are going to value your time a lot more. Like, don't think that those are the only people, or those are the only friends that are going to be in your life. It
Yeah.
can be really difficult, though. I do understand this. There are like kind of friends that I've kind of grown apart from recently, where I've been in kind of like a good like 10-year
Yeah.
friendship, and it's been like a solid friendship. But when you start to realize that they're not willing to invest their efforts in you, and they're not kind of respecting you and your value and your time, then you've got to learn to kind of put yourself at the highest standard and be like, right, he doesn't care, or she doesn't care, in fact,
Mm.
about me at this moment, or when I'm free, or what I'm doing, or my issues, my problems. So
Yeah.
sack them off. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the
Mm.
day, it's not bad to move apart from this person.
No.
I think that shows growth. I think that
Yeah.
shows that you're on a different path. You're on, like, what they do after that shouldn't be any of your business, I don't think.
No. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think it's just part of growing up, though, really. Like,
Mm,
you can't,
100%.
people are going to grow up and change, and the person they were, I don't know, 5 years ago, or whatever, isn't going to be the same person now, and you might not like them as much now. That's fine. But you got to
Yeah.
also realize that even if you are getting rid of all your mates, yeah, that does sound a bit dodgy. It sounds like you're the problem. At the same time, the number of mates you have literally has no meaning to it. There is no value of having 1, 2, 3 mates over 10. It literally doesn't make a difference. Because at the end of the day,
Exactly.
it's just, are they, is there a good relationship there? Are you valuing each other? If
Mm.
not, then probably
Can
move
you
away from
call on?
someone.
Yeah, it's about like it. Can you need to ask yourself? Can you call on these people in your darkest times
Mm,
for them to be that kind of rock for you, to kind of pull you back up and get you back on your path? Or if they're not, if you truly can't, if you don't think that they can, and you don't have that faith in them that they're gonna be able to help you in that sort of way, then there's no real reason for you to have a relationship with them now. I think
Yeah.
moving into this sort of age, we're 20, like, or me and Marcus are both 20,
Mm.
like we're approaching our most important years in terms of just university life. Like, these are the stepping stones
Yeah.
that, and you need a friendship group, or you need a couple of people that are going to be there 24/7 to make that kind of road and your path like a lot less stressful and a lot easier.
Yeah. Just talking about stress there, you'll probably realize if you've got loads of mates, and this links to social media as well, you'll probably be more stressed. If you're worrying about the opinions of 500 other people on social media, that can start to get to you. If you've got a big social circle, you're worried about loads of people judging you, maybe. Something that both of us have done recently is just start Instagram all over again. I've
Yeah,
had my Instagram, I don't know when I made it, probably when I was like 14 or something, maybe
yeah.
15. Loads of people on there. Not, and again, this come back, I don't dislike them. It's just,
No,
I never speak to any
they
of them,
bring no
basically.
value to your life.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just nice to start over and be like, right, I can just have a small group of mates and just be happy with that,
Yeah,
rather than dealing with just low. I think
it's
social media is just a big distraction. It's a lot of white noise and unnecessary stress you put yourself through, basically. It's just not
yeah.
needed.
That's so true. I think prioritizing quality over quantity in terms of your social circle is so key. You need, or it would be so much better to have two or three like people that you'd call brothers or sisters,
Mm,
like people that can literally back you to the bone in terms of like whatever you're trying to achieve, and they're going to give you all the encouragement that they possibly can, and be that positive kind of push that you need over 10 people where a vast majority of them could be bitching about you and hating on
yeah.
you behind your back. At this age, you don't need that. uh,
Yeah. You
you do not need that. It's time for
don't.
you to grow up
Yeah.
and face the fact that some people aren't going to change as people, and you're on a different, you like, in the grand scheme of things, I think this is so important. Like, looking back at 80, like when you're close to death, like
Mm,
it's a sad like thought to have,
yeah.
but you don't want to regret the fact that you stuck with these people that were bringing you down and hating on your goals over just growing a pair of balls and just sacking the people off that
Yeah.
generally bring negativity and unhappiness towards you. Like, there's no time for that. There's no
No.
time for that in this life. It's so important.
Yeah. I think, as you were speaking there about if somebody was 80, you probably would look back and think, just if only I just got out of there quicker, if only I just moved on, type of thing.
Hmm.
You could have been somewhere completely
Yeah,
different, and
exactly.
it's just
And you
you,
can't go back and change that.
no,
You
you
can't go
can't.
back. You can't change the past. So
Exactly.
you've just got to rewrite the present and what you're doing now.
Mm.
Just
And
as I said, just grow a fucking pair of balls, mate.
it's true though. But yeah, I just want to say this again, just to get this across. It's not that you have to cut everybody off and be like, oh, I'm better than you, I'm moving on. It's not that. It's just
No, it's yeah,
your different paths, just less time spent with them. And as I was saying,
exactly.
I still have a lot of mates I get on with really well, but we're just different. So I'll spend a lot of time maybe working on someone else, spending other time with other people. There's nothing that stops me going out with them.
Yeah.
If it's just for, like, as I was saying earlier, like beers and stuff, I can happily go to the pub and catch up with them.
Mhm.
But I just limit my time with them, basically. But yeah.
100%. Yes, so that leads on into kind of our own personal perspectives on toxic relationships. And of course, we're open to other points of view and you can disagree,
Mm,
but we're just stating how we feel on the subject
yeah,
and kind of give it, yeah, exactly, just giving our take on toxic relationships in terms of male and female.
yeah. I think it is pretty useful to have relationship guru Sam Dance with us today.
Yeah, the person who has what, about 0 days experience of being in a relationship.
Pretty
So
pretty
yeah,
good, mate.
yeah. So definitely take my advice into consideration. We're just spouting out our
Yeah,
own
our
opinion
opinions.
from
But
an outside perspective. We're
yeah,
not like, if you're in a relationship and this is happening, then you can definitely consider it and be like, right, that may actually be quite true. And
yeah.
then I think what our opinion will hopefully allow you to do is kind of make your relationship with your other half better.
Mm. I also think a lot of these points kind of intertwine between friendship and relationships though as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think a lot of them will be pretty useful. But I think a key thing that I see a lot is people just staying together in a relationship that clearly isn't working just because they'd be too uncomfortable to move on and they're basically just too comfortable with where they are. They can't imagine life without this person, basically,
yeah,
even though
exactly.
the relationship is a complete shit show. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's,
they're both unhappy, and in the grand scheme of things it would be better for them to just separate and go their separate ways, but they're kind of so attached and kind of
yeah,
they knew what they had, and maybe at the start of a relationship, like a lot of relationships go through a honeymoon period where everything's kind of happy daisies and
yeah,
shit, like for the first like week or two, and you see that and you're like, oh, they're actually getting along quite well. There looks like there's a connection,
mm,
there's a spark, there's chemistry. But after weeks and weeks go by, that kind of honeymoon period kind of just disappears.
yeah.
And as time goes on, individuals start showing off their true kind of personalities, and they realize that they're not actually compatible with each other.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time it comes down to something that's called the sunk cost fallacy. So you've spent so much time and effort on a relationship, you've invested so much in it that you don't want to let it go because you're thinking, oh, I've been with this person for, I don't know, 2, 3 plus years. That's so much
Yeah.
of my
And it
time.
gets stale.
Yeah, you think, oh no, I've spent so many years with this person, I can't move on. It's short term
People have
pain.
attached their whole sense of self with
Yeah.
that person. Like, it's like they feel empty inside and they hate being alone if they're just like, yeah, if they're not with this person.
Yeah, no, that's another thing actually. If you can't be happy alone, then you're in trouble, mate.
Yeah,
Like, don't
exactly.
get me wrong, a partner can definitely make you happier, but you got to be happy just being alone. That's
Exactly.
key.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's short-term pain, long-term happiness. Yeah, it's going to be shit for a couple months, maybe years time. You'll look back and think, thank fuck I got out of there.
Yeah.
Imagine
Maybe the best decision you ever made. Yeah. So, I don't think you need a relationship to make you happy. I think a lot of people believe that if they're in a relationship, that's going to bring them happiness,
Mm,
or constantly being with that person and being close with that person on a 24-hour basis, literally sleeping around each other's houses like every day,
yeah,
no time away from each other. But yeah, as I said, they've attached their whole sense of happiness to that person. So whenever they kind of distance themselves from that person, they're going to feel unhappy, they're going to feel depressed, they're going to constantly be wanting to know what that other person is doing. And a slight amount of insecurity can come into it, because it can be as if, because I'm away from that person, they may not trust them, and then they may be thinking, like, a perfect example is a lad goes out clubbing with his mates and the girl doesn't go out, and she's constantly kind of on his case, on his line, like, where are you? What are you doing now? When are you getting home?
I want you
And
back by
just
2 a.m.
I want you back. And it's
She's
like,
not your
yeah,
mum, mate.
shut up. I don't need another mum. Like, one mum is enough. Like,
It's true though.
it's
Like,
just not healthy. It's
yeah,
not
no,
healthy
that is
for
not
both
healthy.
parties.
Yeah, I think as soon as it gets to that stage, and as you were talking about insecurity, if somebody's insecure and they're relying on being with somebody else just to make them feel secure, that's going to go downhill quickly. Because
100%.
you'll think, I've seen it myself, people start sacking off their mates, stop spending time with their mates just to be with this one person. Then they start getting rid of all their mates, only
Yeah.
in a relationship. And then when that relationship ends, right,
They've got no
now what?
mates, and
Yeah,
they've got
you're
no
on your
girlfriend
own.
or boyfriend. They're just completely
Yeah,
alone. It's
you've
like,
just
oh,
fucked it, mate.
yeah. It's like, you can have a girlfriend and friends.
Yeah,
Like, I don't understand where that came from, where, like, you either have to choose your girlfriend or you choose your mates. Like,
yeah,
when I get into a relationship into the future,
yeah,
my boundary, I'm going to set my boundaries. I'm going to be like, if I want to go out with my mates, I'm going to go out with my
yeah.
mates. Like, and
Literally,
you're not going to fucking stop me.
yeah.
Like,
If you set the plan is I'm going out with my mates on this day, and then
yeah,
you go up
gets
and
to this.
goes, oh
No.
well, we're going out tonight instead, or can we go out tonight instead? And you're going, oh no, I'm going
No,
out with my mates. I booked it last week. And she gets upset. Fuck off.
that's her fault. That is literally her fault.
Yeah,
You
no,
just
that's
get
something.
dressed, mate. Get out the door.
Yeah, that's something I
Because
couldn't deal with.
no,
I would not
I'd
deal with
sack it
that.
off there and there. I'd be like,
Yeah,
because that shows to me that they can't trust me.
yeah, 100%.
Because you're in a relationship, obviously, like, cheating is a huge thing. Like, a lot of people do cheat,
Mm,
but, like, you can't, if you've been cheated on in the past, you can't carry that burden into a new relationship.
yeah,
The slate just needs to be wiped completely clean, because this is a new person. You can't expect them to, like, if you're going into the relationship and you're already fearful even before you've got into it, or at the start, that they could potentially cheat when they go out with their mates, then sorry, but that's just not healthy, and you
yeah,
just shouldn't get into a relationship
mm,
at all,
yeah,
because it's just
true.
going to make you unhappy, and you're not going to feel any sort of kind of good feelings, positivity, happiness when you're with that person, because whenever they leave or they go out with their mates, or you may think that their mates are a bad influence on them and they're going to egg them on, like, at the end of the day, we're our own selves, and if your mates are egging you on to get, like, with this bird, or vice versa, like, girls mates are egging their mates on
Mm,
to get with a lad, like, you can simply say no.
yeah,
and 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 it's very simple to say that. A lot of people
yeah,
don't say that, but you can
I know.
simply just turn around to your mates and go, I'm not going to
No.
do that, and they'll be like, okay, no worries, don't they?
Yeah.
Like,
It's not that
it's
hard.
not hard.
Yeah.
I get so annoyed. I do get annoyed,
No,
like, looking
but
at it
it's the
from this
same thing.
perspective.
It's if you can't adhere to some social pressure, then just grow up. Like,
Yeah,
it
grow
sounds a
some
bit harsh,
fucking
but
balls, mate. Yeah.
it's the same thing. If I'm with a load of people and I'm, I don't know, down the pub or something, or yeah, say I'm down the pub and people going, oh, get another pint. I'll be like, nah, don't really want another pint. Be like,
Don't
oh,
want
you're
another pint.
boring. Go on, get another pint.
It's like, okay,
No,
I'm boring then.
I don't want the pint. Why would I spend £3.50 on something I don't want? Like,
Yeah, you might as well just buy the beer and then just give the beer back. Like,
yeah.
keep my money. I don't want it.
Yeah.
That's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah, you just don't be pressurized, basically.
No,
But I
no.
think
You're at this age, as you said, like social pressure. If you can't deal with social pressure at 20 years old, or you can't say no to someone with authority and like with your both feet like stuck in the ground, like no,
yeah,
then mate, you're a wuss. Like
yeah.
just
Come on, mate, you've got it in you somewhere. I know
yeah,
it's
deep
there.
down, you know you can say no, mate. You
Yeah,
know you can. You don't have to constantly say be a yes man.
yeah,
Like no one
exactly,
likes a yes man that just constantly says yes to shit. It's like
exactly. It's so true, and actually, that leads on to just going off the whole yes man thing. If let's just take a man. Let's say the man's being dragged around by his girlfriend. If you're just getting dragged around by your partner and it's all them, you can't have a
yeah,
like somebody being higher than the other type thing. Like, nah,
no,
that's something that
no,
pisses me off because I've seen that in person. You just think, just sack it off. Why? Why are you
yeah,
allowing that to
yeah.
happen?
Yeah, that goes back to the thing that we were saying about the girlfriend not allowing you to go out or the boyfriend not allowing you to go out
Yeah,
with
it's
mates. It's
insecurity.
like, yeah, it is a huge amount of insecurity, and in a like a good relationship, in a healthy relationship, there's no insecurity there
Yeah,
at all.
exactly. And I know we've probably said quite a few times in this podcast, just sack it off, right? I just want to make, I just want to make
Live
something.
alone for the rest of your life.
I just want to make it
That means
clear.
you can't get hurt.
It's true. It's true. No, I just want to make it clear though that it's not necessary sack it off. All these pointers are just something that you can think, oh right, yeah, I'm actually going through that. Well, I can work on that and then make the relationship better rather than just getting rid of
And
it.
communicate that.
Yeah,
You've got to communicate that. Be like, recently, you've been kind of being quite controlling in what
yeah.
you're allowing me to do and what not to do. At the end of the day, I'm my own person. I'm my own individual. If I want to do something, then I'm going to fucking do it. Like, regardless of whether you say I can or not.
And then they'll probably, hopefully, but oh, okay, I'll take your point. And if they don't,
Yeah.
or then sack it off, right?
Yeah. And then sack it off. That's the last chance.
Yeah. Last chance, right? But I think it comes down to it is just live a bit, mate. Like
Mm,
you've got, I think, take say for example at school, say somebody gets into a relationship at 15, right, and they're in a relationship until they're 17, 18 or something. At the time they might think, oh my god, this is, I'm going to be with the person for this rest of my life. Like, just relax a minute, all right? It's probably, I know it sounds very pessimistic, is that the word, where it's like
yeah.
where it's like the person you first meet probably isn't going to be the person you meet for the rest of your life. I know
No.
that's, yeah, I know that doesn't sound happy, but you've just got to realize like you have got your whole life ahead. There is no rush to find this special
You've,
someone. If you've
yeah.
got something good, then great, like that's
Yeah.
quality. But don't just
Yeah.
think, oh my god, they're the one, and get super attached to that. Because then when it
Yeah.
doesn't work out, you think, oh no, there's nobody else for me. Like, no, it's not how it
Yeah,
works.
you think about how many people of the opposite gender are on this earth,
Yeah, just a couple
like, or
billion.
people in your age.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so there's 8 billion people on this earth, close to 9 billion people.
No,
There's
I
gonna
think it's
be
8
there's
billion, mate. I think it's 8 billion.
8 billion.
7.5 billion,
So
actually, but yeah.
oh, okay, all right, Marcus,
Yeah.
calm down. Uh, there's
Knowledge,
gonna
mate.
be a knowledge is key.
It's all
There's
these
gonna
books.
be there's gonna be all there's gonna be like 100 million people of the opposite gender in your age bracket. Like,
Yeah.
settle down. Like, there's
Yeah.
no need to like settle down with that one person. Like,
It's so true, though.
when there's one person, there's probably about 100,000 other people that are kind of similar. They may not have that personality that you found, but
Mm.
I think you've got to be open-minded and do not construct like a type
Yeah.
that you kind of have like I like a guy with dark hair, tanned,
It's got to be
muscular,
6'1".
got to be 6 foot. It's like you could be missing out on that one person who doesn't fit that criteria that genuinely actually makes you happy, and you're just
Yeah.
limiting yourself by constructing this type.
It's so true. I think if you've got a already preconceived idea of what you want, say you got like, oh, I only like brunettes, and then you see a blonde, she matches everything apart from she's blonde.
Oh,
You might
she's not.
think,
Yeah,
oh,
she doesn't have brown
she's not
hair,
brunette.
so
This
I'm
isn't
not
gonna
going to
work.
give her
She's
the
not my
time of
type.
day.
What? But I think just to kind of wrap up this whole podcast, we'll just finish it off with a few kind of like bullet points as a conclusion. And the first thing would probably be to assess who you're spending your time with, and just prioritize that time to like-minded people. It comes back to the very first thing that we said about you being the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're hanging around with people with no goals, or they've just got a bad attitude to life, they're miserable, guess what? You're going to be miserable. You're going to probably have
Yeah,
no goals. You're not going to want to do anything. You're going to be lazy. If you meet up with people or just talk to people, and this is a good thing about social media, if you find somebody that's going after,
inspiring to
yeah,
you.
and you can just follow them and maybe message them and get chatting. And
Yeah,
if you just get rid of all the people that you're following who are just kind of distractions and not really bringing anything to you, and just surround yourself with like-minded people in real life and social media, you'll probably realize that you'll start to get more goals. You'll start to be more driven, more motivated.
yeah. If you're surrounding yourself with successful people, you 9 times out of 10, or actually 10 times out of 10, successful people not hating on
Yeah,
other. They're not hating on anybody else. The only they're it's just pure encouragement and positivity and kind of sharing knowledge and just like being there for each other. Like negative people, you couldn't you can't turn towards negative people for advice.
yeah,
Like, let's be real, because
yeah.
they're
It's
not going to
true.
be able to give any advice because they're
Yeah,
not doing anything themselves. So,
yeah. And as you were saying there about successful people don't hate, that can literally be in anything. If you have somebody that's built a business and you go up to them and you say, "Oh, I want to do this," they'll probably be like, "All right, how are you going to go about it? How are you going to do this?" And in
yeah,
a way that's not shutting you down. It's saying these are some things to think about, rather than just people just going, "Oh no, don't do that, too risky." Or
yeah,
you've got somebody who's,
just shut you down straight
yeah,
away.
or if you've got somebody who's in the gym and he's, let's just say he's fucking massive, and you go up to him and you go, "Oh, what can I do to look like you? I want to improve myself." He'll give you some tips. If you go up to your mate and be
Yeah.
like, "I want to improve myself, I'm going to start going to the gym," they'll probably be like, "Oh, don't waste your time with that. It's too much effort." Like successful
Oh,
people
that's a
aren't
waste of
gonna,
time.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a waste
successful
of
people
time.
are never gonna tell you not to do that, or it's,
No,
yeah, like,
no, they'll support you.
yeah,
If your mates don't support your path and your passion and what you're on, then they're not your mates.
mm,
Like, it may be a harsh reality for you to kind of understand that and come to terms with that, but they may, once upon a time, they may have been your mate, and you may have been able to call on them in those times. But as you grow and as they grow, and if you grow apart, then that's okay. That's just part of life.
yeah, it's so true, and it comes back to the quality over quantity type thing. There is literally no value in how many mates you have. If anything, just from my experience, it's so much easier, so much better just to have one, two, three close mates rather than just have a big group of people that you just kind of get on with. You'll
Mm,
probably be a lot more happier. But yeah,
true. So
yeah.
true.
Sorry, were you going to say something then?
No. I
Oh,
was listening.
yeah. And then the next thing would be that I mentioned earlier is that short-term pain, long-term happiness is something that you really want to consider. This goes again for both friendship, relationship. Don't get caught up in the sunk cost fallacy of you've invested so much time, you've invested so much effort. If you're not happy, then you're not happy. It's pretty much that simple. Try and fix it if you want to. If it doesn't
Yeah,
get
exactly.
and they're not making an
100%.
effort, then just there's no point. Just leave it. You'll be a lot happier in the long term. And
Finally, yeah, we
yeah,
were
go on.
just going to touch on if you're in a toxic relationship and you've kind of listened to these symptoms or these kind of indications that you are in a toxic relationship, then especially with like male or female, then it would be best for you, as Marcus said about there, short-term pain, long-term happiness, get out of it and understand that time is on your side.
Yeah,
You've got time to find the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And it may happen in an absolute instant and you may not even realize it. That's what I'm waiting. Like that's how I feel, 100%. I'm not actively looking out for a relationship. If it with an like opposite gender, like it will find you in good time. When you're ready,
yeah.
and the signs will be there.
I agree with that. I'm of the same kind of opinion. Not like actively seeking it out, but if it happens, it happens. And I also think if this is just my opinion, this isn't fact, literally just my opinion. If you do were to break up with somebody, if it really was meant to be, then maybe you might find each other in the future. Maybe. That's just in my opinion. If it really was meant
Yeah,
to be something.
if you reconnect and like yeah, you've gone your separate ways for a couple of years and then you see each other again in the bar or on a night out or just as you walk past each other and then you begin a conversation again and just kind of catch up and you feel there's like the connection still there,
Yeah.
then go back and explore it and give it another go.
But
Like
also,
don't limit yourself. Don't say like, oh, I've broken up with that person, I'm going to completely sack them off out of my life, they're never going to come back
yeah.
into my life. Like if they make the effort, similar to like friendships, if you've like if they've understood now that you've kind of distanced yourself and you're on your own path, but then they begin to be like, right, I should have valued his time more, I should have valued him as a person more, I'm going to try and reconnect and kind of spark that close friendship with them, then you've got to be open to that.
Yeah, that's so true. I think for both friendships and relationships, say you do decide to cut something off, 2, 3 years later, you might reconnect, and the person that you cut off might have finally decided to start
Matured and just
yeah,
being a
and
completely
actually,
different person.
yeah, and then they might end up having similar goals to you. Then you might reconnect and do something with them. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I want to just overall say, I know I've already said this, but we're not saying just to sack all your mates off, sack your missus off. Just it's just things to consider, basically.
Yeah. Hundred
Yeah,
percent. Yeah. It's our take on the subject
yeah.
because I
I'm
know
not.
you guys wanted us to talk about it,
Yeah,
and yeah, the thing that you should get out of this podcast is not sack everybody off in your life
live
and
alone
just be
forever.
alone. Like, but you just need to know your worth
Mm,
and understand that relationships are there, either friendships or relationships with male or female, are there to benefit your life. They're not supposed to be something that tears you down and something that
yeah,
pulls you back. They're supposed to make you happy. And if they're making you unhappy, then sack it off.
yeah. Literally, if you're fucking miserable, yeah, maybe try and fix it. If you're not getting anything in return, then just get rid of it. Yeah, and
100%.
just one final thing, you kind of touched on it there, like, yeah, relationships meant to benefit your life, but they shouldn't be the only thing that brings you happiness. If you can't be happy on
Yeah.
your own, as we said, then try and
Love
sort that out.
yourself before you start opening yourself up to other people, I think.
Lovely little.
Self love is key, so fucking key. It's unreal. And once you actually realize that that is the case, then it will open. You'll find yourself in so many unusual scenarios if you just practice self love and you were just kind of like valued yourself. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and you go to bed, 9 times out of 10, if you're not in a relationship, you're on your own.
Mm,
So, and if you can't be comfortable with your own thoughts and by yourself and with your own feelings and emotions, then that's unhealthy, and you just need to start, as I said, prioritizing yourself.
love that, mate. I think that's a perfect way to finish off this podcast. So,
Brilliant.
if you did enjoy today's podcast, then subscribe on iTunes, leave us a follow, drop us a DM if you want to hear more of this kind of stuff, or if you've got any questions. DMs are always open. Links will be in the description. But yeah, hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.